Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi reporting for the Media Speaks. The data card is tied up, so this is in two parts. Don't just watch the first part. There's two parts. I'm splitting it up. Once the video is done that we are entering into the InfoWars contest, then I promise you I will be getting the entire in one sitting. Those of you on low def, it's always one sitting. Guys, welcome to The Correct Views. We're going to go straight into the news. This is terrible news that we're going into, by the way. MSN.com, 700 beheaded, crucified, and shot after revolt against militants. Now, I had asked Christelle, how many people do you think ISIS killed here? She goes, oh, I don't know. I'm guessing probably the whole town, what, 100? You don't guess 700 people. I don't care how much dreadful news you may hear every day when you watch the news. We all do. Stop for a minute. They killed 700 people. Some of them were crucified and beheaded. Alarming, but more than that, it happened in Turkey. Well, I mean, it's being reported here in Turkey, I should say. Turkey has let their hatred of certain people that have not always been allied with them come between them helping those people defeat ISIS. In essence, Turkey has helped ISIS flourish. And I don't want to hear about what the U.S. did to give money to ISIS. I've never been in favor of giving money away the way our country has done. I've never said I was in favor of it. What I am going to say, though, and I think everybody with any kind of a heart whatsoever would honestly have to agree, that it doesn't matter who gave you the money. If this is the kind of thing that you use money for, you are still the lowest kind of human filth ever. I don't care if Uncle Sam came over with a beard and handed it to you himself. The cost of turning against the Islamic State was made brutally apparent in the streets of a dusty backwater town in eastern Syria in early August. Over a 3-day period, vengeful fighters shelled, beheaded, crucified, and shot hundreds of members of the Shiite tribe after they dared to rise up against the extremists. I had a comment. Somebody asked me why so many people are referring to ISIS as the spoken of anti-religion in the book of Revelations. The reason for that is it's said that those who do not accept the evil that is coming will have their heads cut off. And for a number of years, people have thought that meant being shot or, being otherwise killed. It was until the return of these crazy factions of Islam, again, not all Islam, just the crazy side, the reemergence of these people in numbers that are now noticeable, it lends itself to people believing that. Do I believe it? I would not be surprised if it was. I'm not going to say that it was. I have no idea. It said by the time the killing stopped, 700 people were dead. Activists and survivors say, making it the bloodiest single atrocity committed by the Islamic State in Syria since it declared its existence 18 months ago. I am not one of these people that are like, Assad is against America, and since America does crappy things, I'm going to side with Assad. No. I am going to say that anybody who would dislike Assad so much as to side with ISIS have to have some serious problems in their head. The little publicized story of this failed tribal revolt in Abu Haram, it's like their militia. It's the people that stood up for the town in Syria's eastern Deir al-Zur province, illuminates the challenges that will confront efforts to persuade those living under Islamic State rule, that is Sharia law, and Iraq as well as Syria, to join the fight against the jihadist group, something U.S. officials say is essential if the campaign against the militants is to succeed. If we're going to be there, then it makes sense to me that we would try to get some kind of a coalition of other Muslims. There are many people that don't believe that we should be there. At this point, I mean, I'm wondering why we're there, because we don't seem to be doing anything other than making it worse. if we are going to back somebody, then it needs to be done in a way that is defensive, non-aggressive, if we should be there at all. And again, I'd be willing to entertain thoughts all day that it's time for us to go. Guys, some spooky news about the food. Again, we're putting all Ebola news at the end of the show because thankfully we haven't had any new cases crop up. There's a number of people being tested as I go live here 10/23/2014 at 4:05 in the morning. But so far, no one new has it. I'm not going to stop covering it until we are in fact in the clear. However, I am going to go ahead and relegate it to the end of the show for the coming until we're pretty sure we're good here, which we're all hoping and praying happens. Got some food updates here. McDonald's CEO acknowledges image problems after tough results. McDonald's is like gushing here, and the reason that they're like bleeding to death in front of us, the solution to this is simple. I'm sure you can tell by looking at me, I've eaten my share of McDonald's. And my awesome friend, some of the best days of my whole life were spent with this person, DJ Nick Popa, mentioned that he always sees me at rallies and things, and I'm always posting things on my site against it. That's one of the reasons that I am so against it. I'm a DJ, and as is he, an excellent DJ. The reason that we eat the way we do is because driving home, you get home at 3 in the morning, I'm getting ready to set this show up from my other job, you grab something to eat. I would like the option to go through McDonald's. It's 99 cents for a regular whatever burger that they have. It is $2 for an organic burger. I'd be willing to do that. If you want to eat the regular McDonald's, it's sitting right there. If you don't want to eat the regular McDonald's, you want an organic burger, you want real bread, you'd like a real freaking piece of cheese, then it'll cost you more. The choice is yours. They also have the money to undercut and sell organic food a lot cheaper than the organic stores sell it for, because McDonald's is so huge, they could actually buy this much. If they were to do that, if they were to make it so that they could put it on par to a level that undercuts the organic food stores, they would have a lot of people showing up. And how many of you think they're going to go ahead and order something other than that organic burger? That's the way I would fix it if I was CEO of McDonald's. It seems like an easy fix to me. It's also the way you fix this Halloween thing. Some parents would allow their kids to trick or treat at night, particularly their older kids. Some parents would not. Some parents, like my dad used to do, would just walk with you. What's the solution? You make trick or treat start an hour while it's still sun's up, go through twilight into an hour or a half hour of when it's dark. That would leave the option up to every parent, and those that were only daylight friendly would be able to have their daylight. There's another free fix. All right, guys, on to our food update. People that aren't regular listeners are going to think I'm crazy. McDonald's Corp Chief Executive Officer Don Thompson owned up to some corporate image problems on Tuesday after it posted a nearly 1/3 drop in quality profit and warned its global restaurant sales would fall again this month. It's not an image problem. We don't want poisoned, so we are limiting it. Stock in the fast food chain, which Thompson conceded is sometimes seen as a little more than a manufacturing plant, was down 0.6% at $91 in afternoon trading after reporting a 30% fall in third quarter income. Thompson has been CEO, it says, for the last 2 years of his 25-year career at McDonald's. And it says a lot of people are pulling away from processed food. And again, there's been study after study proving time and time again that this is bad for you. It's bad for me when I eat it. I very rarely drink pop now unless I'm drinking it with rum, which is a drink I like. The pop's worse for you than the rum. Otherwise, I've been drinking vitamin water as much as possible. Life water, any other version, they don't give me any money. So any one you want. I've been drinking those. I've lost weight is the reason I'm telling you this story, just by doing that. I don't drink pop unless I crave it. Where I work, I'm allowed to drink, not to talk so often. I'm allowed to drink, whatever out of the gun. I don't ever get pop unless I'm absolutely craving it. It's just something I've pulled away from. And I've done the same thing with fast food because of the many reports that we have done on this show. And like I said, my dad, he was always eating Walmart aspartame this, Walmart aspartame that. It's been known to cause liver cancer and gallbladder cancer. And guess what? He died of gallbladder liver cancer. So that's why I do these shows, people. This stuff matters. It says McDonald's is in the business of satisfying customers, and that will never fall out of favor. The question is, what do you do and how do you do that? Well, he's bringing LeBron James in. Yeah, LeBron James, it has something to do with what I just said. It said Wall Street analysts, many of whom underscore McDonald's deliberate business style, predict that the company will give Thompson at least another year at the needle. It's not his fault, but if he'd used the thinking part of his brain, somebody's sending this show. Give people the choice. You don't have to change anything. You can just add stuff. It said last week, McDonald's launched a U.S. online campaign called Our Food, Your Questions, and invited customers to ask anything about its food. It opened the campaign by directly addressing quality control rumors, such as question as, is pink slime in chicken McNuggets? Why doesn't your food rot? And are there worms in your beef? Thus far, the response has been mixed. Do they rot? Yes, they do. How do I know this? Because we went up to the Seacrest Motel in Sandusky, and Christelle and I accidentally left chicken nuggets in the car. So I went ahead and decided that it was in May when the season started. I put the McDonald's upstairs in the visor of the van, let it sit, and gave it to the seagulls in September. It did not smell bad. They were hard as rock. It did not smell bad. It did not rot. It did not turn color. This is not chicken. I don't know what it is. They're good. They're fattening, but they are not chicken. Survey data from YourGov Brand Index showed that the campaign, coupled with McDonald's recent Monopoly game promotion, appeared to temporarily lift perception and purchase. They're missing it. It doesn't have anything to do with Monopoly or LeBron James. It has to do with us wanting to not eat pink slime. When we order chicken, some of us would like chicken. And if it's a bad week, I've spent most of my adult life poor. Speaking of Nick Popa, he knows this only too well. You can eat there whatever you want. Keep your regular food. But the option should exist there. And if they would do that, they would find a lot of people would go there and order it. And a lot of people would laugh at it and wouldn't. Let's be real. And that's America. That's at least what it's supposed to be. A couple more things on the food update here. Coca-Cola announces growth plan as profit falls by 14%. Here's another one. A lot of times I'll go to the organic section of the grocery store, and I'll pick up the organic root beers. Those I drink from time to time. Coca-Cola organic. Coca-Cola regular. Problem again, solved. Coca-Cola Company on Tuesday announced new cost-cutting measures and a timeline for selling its bottling operations after its quarterly profits slumped 14%, and the world's largest beverage maker struggles to find growth amid a soft soda market that is dwindling. Yeah, it's dwindling because you're poisoning your customers. They're dying of liver cancer, and it sucks. Their family misses them, so we quit drinking it. The Atlanta-based company said that it would hand back or refranchise about 2/3 of its North American bottling territories by the end of 2017, and a substantial portion of the remaining territories no later than 2020. It is the clearest timeline that says the Coke is given to date, and it seeks to sell its bottling operations. And it talks about the percentage of energy drinks and things like that, and it wants to contemplate buying energy drinks. Look, people want a choice that is not a toxic choice. And Coca-Cola and McDonald's do not have to change anything. They just have to add some things. And I really think it would help. Leave a comment if you agree with me here. This is another reason people are drinking less. Soft drink consumption will age you as fast as smoking. April McCarthy, Prevent Disease is where this is from. The message to stop smoking issued by public health officials has been nothing less than prominent, repetitive, and consistent in the last several decades. What about soft drinks? Daily consumption of just half a liter of soda is linked to 4.6 years of additional biological aging, and there is a link here to describe exactly what that is defined as. It says it affects comparable to that of smoking, and according to the newest study. The study found that drinking soft drinks is associated with cell aging, suggesting sugar-sweetened soda consumption might promote disease independently from its role in obesity. And again, the organic pop isn't any healthier, but I usually go to that instead of a Coke because of the high fructose corn syrup. The study revealed that telomeres, the protective units of DNA that cap the ends of chromosomes and cells, were shorter in the white blood cells of survey participants who reported drinking more soda. The findings were reported in the American Journal of Public Health for those of you that want sources. The length of the telomeres within white blood cells, where the most easily be measured, has previously been associated with the human lifespan. Short telomeres also have been associated with the development of chronic aging, including heart disease, diabetes, and types of cancer. Regular consumption of sugar-sweetened sodas might influence disease development not only by straining the body's metabolic control of sugars, but also through accelerated cellular aging of tissues. And this is a senior study author, Alyssa Espel, from the Uni of Cali, San Francisco. And it goes on to mention that aspartame has its own problems. It says a 15-year study found that those who drank 30 milliliters of a fizzy drink a day, slightly less than the standard can, were 40% more likely to develop prostate cancer than men who avoid the drinks. Do you know that it dehydrates you? Christelle fights with me nonstop. Pop dehydrates you. It feels like your senses are telling you that you're hydrated because you took a drink. However, because caffeine is a diuretic, it leads to an increase in urine volume. So when you drink a caffeinated soda to quench your thirst, you will actually become thirstier. That coffee drinkers can attest to this all the time. You drink coffee and in no time at all, you're like, I need something to drink that isn't coffee. Also, it's the way your body breaks down high fructose corn syrup. It's high in calories. We know that. It makes you chubby. Caffeine addiction, I think that's mostly in your head, but whatever. Acid. The amount of acid in soda is enough to wear the amount of acid in a soda is enough to wear away the enamel on your teeth, making them more susceptible to decay. We know this. Weight plan, artificial sweeteners. This is important. Many people opt for diet sodas to cut calories, but some research shows that sweeteners may cause additional harms such as cancer. We know it leads to diabetes and mineral depletion. I ain't got to read that. Last part of the food update before we go to the Ebola poll. Many insured struggle with medical bills. Of course they do. I, through all of my adult life, didn't have insurance. The reason that I've had to go bankrupt in my life was due to medical bills, which I covered on this show is quite common. I wasn't out buying big screen TVs and yet, pimping. I was just living, getting hurt, getting sick, going to the hospital, and went bankrupt. I finally got insurance a couple of years ago when I was no longer dirt poor, and Obama has ruined it for me. I don't make that much money. And now I have no insurance thanks to President Obama. Thank you, Obama. I had great insurance. Many of you regular listeners know that I was for quite some time, making sure the camera's fine. For quite some time, I had vertigo. It lasted about a week. It was some time ago, I should say. And it was spooky. It was real spooky. I had to have x-rays and CAT scans and whatnot. My point being, it came to around $1,000. I was able to cover that co-payment. I now, making sure that the camera's okay, Christelle. I saw the red. I now have absolutely no insurance because of President Obama. Well, listen to this. Because the deductibles are so high and nobody can afford to pay what he's making the insurance companies pay for. He promised us that if you liked your insurance, you were going to be able to keep it. When I originally said I'd have to see the entire text because I wasn't against it, a lot of it was because I questioned that. All right, we're going to change data cards. You on the high def aren't going to miss anything. You on the low def, I'm just going to talk for a second while the card is switched, but you're not going to miss anything. You're going to find out more and more that nobody can afford Obamacare. We can't afford it. The deductibles are too high and the premiums are too high. Everything about it is too high. A lot of us had the insurance that we need. We're going to other high def here. If you can't pay your deductible, nobody missed anything high def, and you can't pay your premiums, then what good is the insurance? They have health insurance, but still no peace of mind, it says. This is a bigstory.ap. Overall, 1 in 4 privately insured adults say that they doubt they could pay for a major unexpected illness or injury. A new poll from the Associated Press, NORC Center for Public Affairs Research, may help explain why President Barack Obama faces such strong headwinds in trying to persuade the public that his health care law is holding down costs. It isn't. I'm telling you from firsthand experience, it's sent it through the roof and I can't afford it anymore. Why do I have to pay the same insurance rates that a smoker would pay? I don't get it. If there's a such thing as a social smoker, that would be me. If somebody lights a Black and Mild or a clove, I'll hit it. But I mean, I'm a non-smoker. Why would I pay the same rates as somebody that smokes a pack a day? The survey found the biggest financial worries among the so-called high deductible plans that require patients to pay a big chunk of their medical bills each year before the insurance even kicks in. Such plans already represented a growing share of employer-sponsored coverage. Now they're also the mainstay of the new health insurance exchanges created by Obama's law. It says Edward Frank of Ronaldsville, PA, said he bought an insurance plan with a $6,000 deductible last year through healthcare.gov. That's in the high range, since deductibles for silver plans for the insurance covers $3,100. My insurance charged me $1,000. I can pull it out if I absolutely have to. I do not have $3,100. You explain to me how that is keeping costs down. Unless you get desperately ill in the hospital for weeks, it's going to cost you more to have this plan and pay the premiums than to pay the bill just outright, said Frank, who ended up paying $4,000 for his own treatment for shoulder pain. The deductibles are so high, you don't get much of anything out of it. 19% of all privately insured adults say they do not go to the doctors when they feel sick because they can't afford it. 17% skipped a recommended test or treatment. That's one of the things that killed my dad. 18% of all adults went without a physical exam or other preventative care, 24% among those with high deductible plans. He didn't do it because of insurance. He did it because he was afraid. The point being, many customers also said they made financial trade-offs to pay medical bills. Obamacare has ruined health insurance. Can I be more clear? All right, guys, before we go to the Ebola update and close out the show, there's also the Dumdy of the day, so don't leave. I want to remind you, as I mentioned earlier, the Seacrest Motel, they are wonderful towards their guests. And you know what? When you go to Cedar Point to enjoy the last 2 weekends you have to do so up in Sandusky, you're going to want to stay at the Seacrest because they're cheaper than every hotel up there. I don't just mean the Breakers, which we all know is like anywhere between $200 and $600, I think. We're talking about even like the Red Roof and that. You're not going to find a place that is cheaper than the Seacrest Motel, and they've got beautiful rooms, huge clean beds, wonderful bathroom. You got a tub, you got a shower, you got it made. Go to the Seacrest Motel and tell them you heard about it from the Correct Views. TCV. All right, guys, Ebola update brought to you by Mike McLaughlin, one of the best writers extant today. Go to facebook.com and look up Mike McLaughlin. Scientists, Ebola can spread by air in cold weather. October the 21st, 2014, Kit Daniels, Prison Planet. No, go back to when we first started. This is update number 5. Go back to when we first started this. Who's been out here saying It's airborne. It's airborne. Look at the 89 study. It's airborne. Look at the study from Dr. Peters. It's airborne. Well, we, ding, 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 have been proven right, listeners. Ebola can spread by air in the cold, dry weather common to the U.S., but not West Africa, presenting a possible serious threat to the public, according to two studies by U.S. Army scientists. After successfully exposing monkeys to airborne Ebola, which caused a rapidly fatal disease in 4 to 5 days, scientists with the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute for Infectious Diseases Ebola can spread through the air, but likely hasn't in the equatorial Africa because the region is too warm, with temperatures rarely dropping below 65 degrees. We demonstrated aerosol transmission, that is airborne for you Lady Gaga fans. The Ebola virus at lower temperatures is airborne, and humidity, it's normally associated with the sub-Sahara. It was a 1995 study, people, entitled Lethal Experimental Infections in Rhesus Monkeys by aerosol Ebola virus, that is airborne. Ebola virus sensitivity to the high temperatures and humidity in the thatched mud and water huts shared by infected family members in southern Sudan and northern Zaire may have been a factor in limiting the aerosol transmission of Ebola virus in the African epidemics. Both elevated temperature and relative humidity have been shown to reduce its ability to be airborne. I'm not going to keep saying aerosoled. The study also referred to the 1989 Ebola outbreak at the primate quarantine facility in Reston, which I've talked about on every update, in which the virus rapidly spread between unconnected rooms. I had questioned because it said they were wire cages. These were separate rooms, we find out here on Ebola update number 5. While infections in adjacent cages may have occurred by droplet contact, infections in distant cages suggest aerosol transmission. The 2012 study also said it exposed monkeys to an airborne filovirus similar to Ebola, and it reached a similar conclusion to the 1995 study. This was 2012. There is no strong evidence of secondary transmission by the aerosol route in African monkey flerovirus outbreaks. However, aerosol transmission is thought to be possible and may occur in conditions of lower temperature and humidity, which may not have been factors in outbreaks in warmer climates. That is Africa. It says the Pentagon took this threat of airborne viruses seriously. I bet they did. This could also explain why we've seen it transmitted in hospitals. As we all know, hospitals are always kept quite chilly. It would be a perfect environment to spread. So we may have figured out exactly how this happened to some degree. All right, guys, this is the most despicable thing that you will ever hear. No, my heart goes out. I know about the shooting in Canada today. I don't mean hurt anybody. I mean pull your money out of stocks, protest in the streets, be furious. This is quite possibly the most greedy, self-serving story that I have ever covered on this show. As Ebola raged, Ottawa sold masks and gowns to the highest bidder. The things they needed to give them the best chance of health were auctioned off to the people that had the most money. Rich people bought it and then auctioned it off from there while people were dying and couldn't afford them. Ottawa continued to auction off stockpiled medical supplies to the public even after the World Health Organization requested the protective gear amid an Ebola outbreak raging in West Africa. That would be at the beginning of it. That would likely be before Mrs. DeConte Sawyer's husband died. This would have been before it became a big deal. You know, it wouldn't have stopped the whole outbreak, maybe. Maybe it would have. How many Africans would still be walking around today with their lives? Doctors and nurses, maybe, if they had had some of this stuff. Sales of so-called personal protective equipment, which include surgical masks and isolation gowns, not even respirators, which is what they need, also apparently took place despite requests that are said to have been made this summer via both Sierra Leone's ambassador to the U.S. and the Canadian Aid Organization for donations to equip frontline healthcare workers. Some of the bravest people in the world. Would you want to work around this? Think. People are heroes. Some of the low-priced auction gear landed in the hands of entrepreneurs who then tried to hawk the items for a profit. An estimated 1.5 million worth of stockpiled Health Canada medical supplies were auctioned for just a fraction of that figure, raising questions about the true value of Canada's contribution to the global fight against Ebola and Ottawa's own handling of it. That is the most despicable story I think I've ever read. Contact them. Let them know peacefully. Don't shoot anybody. Don't run anybody over. Peacefully, but very loudly, let them know just how vile that is. Guys, that brings us to the dum-dee of the day. Goes to the Red Cross. Now, before I do this, it's a Reuters article. Before I do this, I have seen the Red Cross do wonderful things. Our drummer, Nick Infamous, his apartment building burned down. The Red Cross was there. I mean, they were on it. They got rooms at a motel. They got food. They got set up in a new apartment. They did a wonderful job. However, this is not the, I don't want to say inconvenience. This is not the major problem of an apartment burning down. This is a massive problem that could affect the very lives of millions of people. Red Cross head says Ebola travel bans are irrational. The most boneheaded comment ever. For one thing, this is how every major outbreak in all of recorded history has been either stopped or worsened. They either quarantine the infected villages, towns, etc., or they don't. Those that don't die. Every major religion has a section on hygiene, and it always says to do the same thing. All religions. I mean, major religions. I mean, not the religion out there eating the dead body. That's not what I mean. They warn about this for a reason. Closing borders will not effectively curb Ebola infections. The head of the Red Cross said on Wednesday, amid debate over whether bans on travel from the hardest hit African countries could help combat the spread of the deadly virus. Well, you know what? Ask Athens what happened when it wiped out ancient Athens. Yeah, you thought it started in 1979. No, look up the Ebola documentary. That's what it's called. And it says in no uncertain terms that it's very likely what wiped out ancient Athens. So no, it was not created by the government. It may have been altered by governments, but it was not created by the government. This year's outbreak of highly infectious hemorrhagic fever, thought to have originated in forest bats, is the worst on record, having killed more than 4,500 people, mostly in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. So let's just let Liberians, Guineas, and Sierra Leone just keep coming on in. Again, I'm not in favor of stopping doctors and aid workers there if they want to go. I'm not a barbarian. I don't want anybody to die. I just think, unfortunately, these places need to be quarantined. They need to get the best health care we have from people that are willing to go. But we can't bring them here. We need to bring the health care there if we're going to do it. Travelers from the region have infected 2 people in the U.S., state Texans, and 1 in Madrid, prompting some leaders, including U.S. lawmakers, to urge a ban. Yeah, it wouldn't do anything, Mr. Red Cross head, except for the fact that people have already died doing it your way. So what, it's easy with bonehead, I'm so mad I can't even talk. Ebola creates a lot of fear and extreme panic that sometimes lead to very irrational type of behaviors and measures, like closing borders, canceling flights, isolating countries, etc. Tsai told reporters in Beijing, where IFRC, the world's largest humanitarian network, was holding a conference. His solution? Money. Of course. The best thing you can do is give money. Obviously, they need money so that their hospitals can be well, but this is not alone going to stop it. You cannot walk up to the virus and say, hello, Mr. Virus. I will come to shake your hand, and I would like to give you this money not to infect anyone. Dundee of the day, friends, you're listening to The Correct Views. Sam I.B. Gangi signing off, reminding you, friends, to go to the mediaspeaks.com to look up the work of Kyle Court, D. Lake, and myself. Also, every penny you give to me, if you would like to donate at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com, goes towards a better show. I'm going to be getting more data cards, so I don't have to make this a two-part show for very long. Again, the data cards are being used to make documentaries with the Media Speaks. Good night, friends. God bless, and thank you for tuning in. Brought to you by the Arcadia Grill, downtown Canton, where they have delicious food and delicious drinks. Arcadia Grill. Good night, friends. And my low deaf people, la 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 la. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope both of the original viewers are very happy to see it, and spread it. And good night.